Go ahead.
Okay, our mission, Helping Parents Heal, is a nonprofit organization dedicated to assisting parents whose children have passed. Through support and resources offered, we aspire to help individuals become shining light parents, meaning a shift from a state of emotional heaviness to one of hopefulness and greater peace of mind. Helping Parents Heal goes a step beyond other groups by allowing the open discussion of spiritual experiences and afterlife evidence in a non dogmatic way. Helping Parents Heal affiliate groups welcome everyone, regardless of religious or non religious background, and encourage open dialogue. Attendance at this meeting is voluntary. We hope that participants will learn from and share with each other. Discussions here are not designed to replace traditional therapy or spiritual counseling. Zoom meetings run by leadership are not confidential. These meetings typically feature guest presenters and are posted on YouTube so that affiliate members worldwide can watch and benefit. Neither type of Helping Parents Heal meeting is designed to replace traditional therapy or spiritual counseling. Helping Parents Heal offers a wide variety of speakers, allowing parents to learn about many possible ways to heal. This includes presenters covering progressive topics such as afterlife evidence and connecting with our children who've passed. The views expressed by our guest speakers may or may not reflect the opinions of Helping Parents Heal leaders and members, so we ask that you take from their presentations whatever may benefit you personally. Welcome, everyone. We're so glad you could be with us this evening, and thank you, Suzanne, for being here.
Yes, thank you, Suzanne, for being here. We're thrilled to have you with us, and we're also thrilled that you were able to take time out of your very busy schedule to spend some time with all of these wonderful parents. This holiday season wouldn't be the same without Suzanne saying something to uplift us, and I really appreciate it. Please, before I forget, put your name, where you're from, if you're an affiliate leader, caring listener, or a board member in the chat box. We would love to be able to acknowledge you, and thanks for doing so. I'm going to go, and also tonight, let's go ahead and place the name of our children in the chat box as well, because Suzanne won't be doing gallery readings, so you don't have to worry about her knowing the name of your child, but it's always so wonderful to acknowledge them during the holiday season. I'm going to go ahead and read her bio. She is pretty amazing, as all of you know. She's the author and the teacher of Awakened Living. She has been included on the Watkins list of the 100 most spiritually influential people. She was a former U.S. Navy commander and aide to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff with a master's degree in national security affairs. And today she shares 21st century spirituality, merging the latest scientific understanding about consciousness with ancient spiritual wisdom. Her work provides stunning evidence of our essential interconnectedness. She teaches proven methods that anyone can use to connect with the many levels of our multidimensional reality. She has authored 15 books, and I hope that that's still correct because she writes them so quickly, 6 best-selling Hemi-Sync recordings, and YouTube videos reaching millions of viewers. She produces the Daily Way inspirational messages, the Awakened Way app, and hosts the top-ranking Messages of Hope podcast. She leads classes, workshops, retreats, and Awakened Way cruises, and serves as faculty with the Shift Network and Humanities team. She's known for her joyful, down-to-earth style of making deep spiritual concepts easy to understand. She laces her teaching with evidence-filled stories of the greater reality and practical tools that produce the personal experience of our multidimensional nature. Her connection with those across the veil has been scientifically validated in laboratory settings. Her messages bring hope and healing that go straight to the heart. And I just want to say as well, she has been a keynote speaker at our conferences for every single conference. We are so grateful to have her every single time. So she'll be here again in August of 2026. You can find out more about her and her work by visiting www.suzannegiesman.com. And without further ado, please join me, Irene, and Christy, and all of us in welcoming beautiful Suzanne Giesemann. Welcome, Suzanne.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth and Irene. That was a lot of ado.
No.
And I want to acknowledge, wait, I need to somehow see myself on the screen so I know. Why is that now? Okay, give me a sec. Whatever. I see all of you, and that's good. Can you pin me, Elizabeth?
I will
Yeah,
pin you. And
that,
not only that, you could go up to the view. I think if you do, um,
there we go.
can you see? Okay, there
That's
you
better.
go.
That's better. That's what I'm used to. Uh, I I also want to acknowledge Christy Majors, who you heard is helping this evening and is one of my assistants. She helps with my YouTube videos, and that's the way we get the messages of hope and the evidence from the spirit world and the teaching about the awakened way out to literally to the world. And just could not do the podcast without her and all the beautiful content that she shares beyond the podcast every week. It's absolutely my mission to let all of you know beyond any doubt that your loved ones, your kids, and your parents and siblings, anybody who has passed, are absolutely, like my book title, still right here. Irene mentioned that in the statement that she read, you know, helping parents heal provides multiple modalities to provide you healing. And honestly, I can't think of anything more healing of grief than coming to the knowing that you already know in your heart that your child still exists. When my stepdaughter Susan passed and I saw her body in the coffin, I had an epiphany. I knew that. I knew that she had to still exist, but I had never seen spirits. I had just finished reading a book about mediumship by some coincidence, right? That was a spirit setup. And so my husband and I went to a medium, and it absolutely changed the entire trajectory of our healing. Anybody in this group who has seen our documentary Wolf's Message knows that whole story. So I'm not going to retell it tonight. But if you haven't seen the film, I have a surprise for all of you. I have permission from Elizabeth and Irene to tell you that at this year's conference, they're going to show Wolf's Message Friday night for anybody who wants to see it. So we're going to have a screening. And even if you've seen it already, I hope it's one of those documentaries that you can watch multiple times. In fact, we just won another laurel, another award for the film today for the, get this, Lonely Wolf Film Festival. We didn't win, but we're a semifinalist, which is a big deal in the documentary world. And I want to acknowledge Jim Spruill, our director. I know he's joining us tonight, and probably Gloria, his wife. And I know that his son Dakota is joining us in spirit, as all of our kids are joining us. When you have a meeting, all the kids are at the meeting as well. I've had them validate this over and over in my readings. So let's just take a moment to do this with me here. Get out of your head where you're thinking about all of this and just move your awareness to your heart, which is where you meet everybody in spirit, and just thank your child or your children for being here with you right now. They love that when we acknowledge them from the heart with that knowing. And just ask them to step even closer and just wrap their arms around you and comfort you this whole holiday season. And that's their job, you know. That's what they do best. So let's Oh, okay. And when I talk like this, my guides are constantly saying, "Don't forget this," and so they snag me just then. I don't do this in my normal day-to-day interactions. I don't say, "Yeah, right, whatever." Uh, they wanted me to remind you of something that came up in the reading where I first met Jim and Gloria Spruill, Jim being the director of Wolf's Message. He's talked to this group before. Their son Dakota came through so clearly in that initial reading and just recently on his angel date when we connected with him again. But that first time he said to his mom and dad, "We're still a family of four," because they have a beautiful daughter, Savannah, here in physical form. And that was a beautiful message to be sure, but it was incredibly meaningful because Jim had been actually writing a song. He's a wonderful songwriter and musician in a in addition to a filmmaker, artist, a Renaissance man. But and the song was about, I have a child who passed. Are we a family of three now or a family of four? I don't know. And that's what the lyrics were. And here comes Dakota in the reading saying, we're still a family of four, Dad. So Jim tore up the lyrics. Actually, Jim, I think you need to go do that song again and make the point that when we have somebody in the family that passes, it doesn't change the number of people in the family because they still exist, just in different form. And this is the message that I give people over and over again. We don't move on without them. We move forward with them. And you can learn to sense their presence and notice their signs. That's my mission now, is mostly teaching. I do a few readings a week just to stay in the groove and continue to get evidence to share in my teaching. But my goal is to show you that having come from no connection with spirit, no belief in a spirit world, no spiritual or religious upbringing, to the point now where I can just shift my focus and connect with them, I know this is possible for all of us. I also know it's my calling, and I dedicate hours every day to increasing that connection. But we can all dedicate a few minutes a day, right? A few minutes a day sitting in stillness. You might call it meditation, but some people are allergic to that. So we just talk about sitting in stillness. Join me Sunday, this Sunday, December 21st. It's World Meditation Day, and I'm doing a free event when I would normally do my podcast on my YouTube channel. Go to my YouTube channel. Better yet, go to my website, just scroll down and you'll see this big block about my Awakening Through Stillness event on World Meditation Day. The more people meditate together, the stronger the signal. And we have several thousand people joining us already. You can, if you don't, you might have trouble finding the link on Sunday, but if you just sign up, we're not going to add you to an email list unless you want it. There's no strings attached. We just want to have everybody come together for 1 hour where we're going to talk about the benefits of stillness. You could call it meditation. And then I'm going to guide a meditation with my guides leading the charge there. So I hope you'll join us for Awakening Through Stillness World Meditation Day. I'm emphasizing that because that practice is what changed my life. Setting the goal to connect to Susan and not stopping till I heard from her. We can talk more about that later, but we go into it in great detail in the film Wolf's Message, because my commitment to connecting with Susan, who I knew was still right here, is what just transformed my life and led me to make a connection with this young man named Wolf, who left absolute proof that we are souls. I mean, what better message is there? It's irrefutable. When you watch the film, you see why I can say that. But I know that I was invited here tonight because the holidays can be challenging for those who are grieving. There's no doubt about it. I know that despair. And I know that many times you don't feel like celebrating, but I have another new assistant who's helping me revamp my website. There's just too much information and too hard to find on too many resources on my website. So he's with fresh eyes looking at the best way to find everything. His name is John. He's a genius. And so by January, we'll have a whole new way of navigating and a whole new look on the website. But Spirit brought him to me and to my team with beautiful timing because his mother was dealing with cancer at the time. This was just about last July. And he couldn't work quite often because then his mother went into hospice and he was her only caregiver, even though he has his dad and his sister. He was the primary caregiver. Many of you are familiar with that, caring for a parent or a child who's ill long-term. And his mother passed in August while he's working for me. Can you imagine how comforting that would be to be working for a medium when you need to understand what's happening? And so I waited about 3 months. I wanted to give his family a chance for the real fog of grief to pass. I wanted to give his mom a chance to learn to communicate from across the veil, and just did a reading for him, about 2 weeks ago. And we had a wonderful connection. And the reason I'm sharing this with you now is because afterwards, John emailed me and he said, I was feeling really sad about Christmas. and I didn't want to put the decorations up. But after hearing from my mom today, I'm going to do it because it would make her happy. Wow. So I'm not telling anybody to force yourself to be happy, but it's that shift in perspective, right? When you know your kids are still part of your life and they want nothing more than for you to know that and acknowledge that. So even if you just put out one favorite decoration in their honor, not to make yourself feel better, but in so doing, it will uplift you. So understand that it is the thought that a certain decoration or ritual will only make you sad that makes you sad. Part of awakened living is recognizing how our thoughts hold us prisoner. Your soul, the essential part of you, is always free. But if you, at the human level, are consistently telling yourself, I can't handle this, I hate the holidays, that decoration makes me so sad, you are fueling your sadness. Sitting in stillness is a way of finding the place beyond all those thoughts, spending a few minutes in peace without those thoughts that keep coming up. And then when the thoughts come up, there's a part of you that notices them. Well, that means you're separate from those thoughts. So you learn to access that place that can observe the thoughts and say, that's not very loving of myself. Would my child want me to be focusing on those thoughts? Take their perspective, which is your soul's perspective as well, and upgrade your thoughts. The more you can do that, the more those clouds part. So we're not being Pollyanna and saying, I'm so happy, right? This is wonderful. But at least you say, okay, we can stop with that now. I choose peace for my child and for me. So just a little bit of awareness that you may not be able to control the thoughts that come up, but you can change them to something at least neutral. Ah, there goes that depressing thought again. I choose to send love to my child. Ask your guides and your child to inspire you with phrases that uplift you, to give you a new way of seeing, to give you new phrases to say when the monkey mind keeps repeating the same patterns over and over. This is hard work, this spiritual path. It requires diligence and commitment to find the peace that really is right here within you. It's not out there. Don't go looking for it out there. The tendency is to just grasp at anything that will take this pain away. Well, the pain will flow through you as you find the peace and say, I'm going to choose something beyond this story. I want to just share with you something I taught in my Shift Network course that just started. We're in module 3, and I shared something that's straight out of my book, The Awakened Way. How many of you are familiar with seeing this drawing? Right now we see a vase, right? But if I drew a square around this, can you see the outline of the face right here? Do you see the outline of the face right here? If you, for a few seconds, you can see both the vase and the faces at the same time. But pretty soon, your attention goes to one or the other, either the vase or the faces. This is the most perfect example of how two things, one picture, can have a dual nature. You are not just the story of you and your child, two faces. You are also this other aspect of you that we call the soul. You are both at once. This is what Wolf's message came back to make sure all of us understand. Wolf's message became my main teaching, the awakened way. You are a soul, but we get distracted and we forget that through our grief, but through external events. And if you're not sitting in stillness every day for a few minutes with the intention of finding that part of you that never changes, of getting to know what are the attributes of the soul, because they're always right here. and choosing to radiate the soul's light, then you're going to get stuck in story and drama. The story of you that now includes a tragedy, right? I remember Susan passed in 2006, but I was in my 40s before I met anyone who had a child pass. Now, these are my best friends, people who had a child pass, my deepest, closest friends. So many of us have a child who passed, so it's almost commonplace for me now. But I forgot how rare it is for the general population. So now we're part of that group, right? And I hope you make some of your best friends ever because they get you. They understand who we are and what we deal with. But when you let that tragedy become your identity, then you've missed the point of the whole spiritual path. This Christmas, I would love for you to give your child the gift of commitment to a spiritual path. And what is the spiritual path? It's not about becoming Pollyanna. It's not about becoming our loving. That actually is the result of the spiritual path, but it's not the goal. The goal, yes, I know I have been called Pollyanna in the past, but I can also drop a few F-bombs here and there, so don't be fooled. So the spiritual path is about shifting your main identity from the story of you with a name and all of its drama and trauma and tragedies to knowing I am the light of spirit. I am a soul playing a role. And our roles are really challenging. We must be very strong, bright souls to have agreed to this role that we're playing, right? But when it's your only identity, when you don't know anything but the grief and the drama and your story, you suffer. And so for me, the spiritual path, the gift of awakening is finding that peace and slowly, slowly, slowly over the years, making it part of you that very little knocks you off balance anymore. You see with a different perspective. You understand that your child's passing is the worst possible tragedy, and you see it in potential as a gift because it's going to help you awaken to this peace and a love and friendships and opportunities that you never imagined. So again, this Christmas, what if your gift were, okay, my child, I'm going to allow your passing to be my wake-up call. If you haven't already done that, help me wake up to who we all are. Spirit in expression. Wow. I had no idea there were two worlds when Susan passed, and boy, did I suffer. And to this day, I continue to peel back the layers of humanness that obscure this light within. But every time a layer comes off, oh my goodness, the waves of love that just can't be contained. That's the journey you started on, whether you knew it or not, when you got that wake-up call. So I hope you'll take advantage of it. My daily messages that Elizabeth read about in the bio, they're in my free Awakened Way app. That app is fantastic, thanks to my assistant, Jayesh. It has a daily message that pops up to inspire you, to remind you to stay on this path, to fill you with the higher energy and pull you out of the story, if only for a few moments while you read it. But it also has a little inspire button where you can ask your child, hey, when I push this button, lead me to just the right message of the thousands in here that will inspire me today. What do I need to hear? And maybe someday it'll even show up with their birth date on that message. It's really cool. I got the goosebumps when that happens. And then in the menu, there's a new feature called Your Questions Answered. It's like having me sit down beside you. My wonderful assistant, Meredith, working with Awaken AI, a voluntary group of geniuses who are all very spiritual, who provided us the means of putting my entire library of books and teaching and class transcripts, every transcript from all my videos for 15 years of it in this repository that you ask a question like you were asking me, like, how do I deal with the passing of my child? That's simple. And you will get a beautiful, loving answer as if I and my guides answered you. It stays within my teaching. It's not like AI that goes out to the whole world. So give that a try on the app or on my website, SuzanneGiesemann.com/your questions answered. I guarantee you will find it uplifting, fascinating, and inspiring and informative. And then ask your child as you use it to inspire you with another question. What do I need to know now? What am I missing? And then you ask my virtual librarian, we call her Grace. Grace, what is my child's life like in the afterlife? That's not going to answer personally what your child is doing, but general questions the way my guides and I would answer. And again, understand this is based on a library, but the more you ask those kind of questions and ask your child to inspire you, now you're increasing your connection with your child because you are understanding they can put thoughts in your head. And you may say, where'd that question come from? Well, you told them to inspire you, right? That's what they do. Wait till you figure out that a lot of your own thoughts are not your own. Your kids are working with you in tandem. Ask them now, okay, keep that up and guide me to wondrous moments. Lead me to magical moments and give me signs more than you already have that we're working together on my spiritual path. It becomes a partnership. People say, is my child my guide? Well, not necessarily a spirit guide, but they will guide you. But you need to work with them and talk to them and ask them to do certain things, and they absolutely will. I have a story I've shared in the past about a young man who came through. It was he had completed suicide, and his mother was my client, and she got evidence from him. He showed us how he passed. I think he's the one that said, I said, your son is saying there's something lifted about you. Lifted. He's going like this. And she goes, well, yeah, I had a facelift since he passed. I loved that. I thought that was great. And of course, he would know about that, right? Your kids know everything. They watch what we're doing. And I mean everything. And they especially don't miss family gatherings and special events. So please don't fall into the trap of saying, oh, they don't know about this or that. They know. Oh, yeah. Oh, I don't know if I'm going to make a note. I just heard of another story to share with you. I think Christy just put it in a video recently, so you may have heard it. But regardless, this one young man across the veil came through so clearly, his mother then said, well, can he tell you what he's doing across the veil? So I asked him, and I said, it's really funny. He just went into meditation pose, legs crossed, and he's going, Om. And he says, Mom, I could never sit still while I was here. You know that. You knew that I was hyper and always very critical, but now I'm practicing stillness. So he went into this meditation pose, and I thought that was a really funny thing to show me. But she said, oh, he was like ADHD. You would never see him doing that. But the evidence was that he acknowledged that this would be different for him. And then he said, it's like across the veil and you, Mom, we're like two aquariums side by side. And all that separates us is like a pane of glass. I can see through into your aquarium. But if you're upset, Mom, it's like the waters are rippled and I can't get through to you. And if I don't practice stillness, my waters are rippled. And so by both of us practicing stillness, now we can connect. Is that great teaching for all of us? Straight from those in the spirit world. And then he said, Mom, I can see the rainbow and the connection is good. That phrase was so evidential. Why? Because his mom said, oh, I am so happy to hear that because when I sit to meditate to connect with my son, I've been trying a new technique, which you all can try. She says, I picture a rainbow from my heart to his, and I swear the connection is better. And here he comes in a reading. I don't know any of this. And he shows that and says, the connection is good, Mom. And now we know why. Because Mom is spending a few minutes every day in stillness. I was out for a hike today and checking out the new neighborhood and the hills around here. And I was by myself because I was still unpacking. And I was halfway down the hill and something got my attention. And I pulled up my phone. I was going to check the email. And my guides actually said, seriously, you're going to do that on a hike? And I went, oh, I'm sorry. Right? Because it's that pull of distractions in our human story. I hope you will, if you don't want to sit in a meditation pose, get out in nature and get away from your electronics and spend that peaceful time to connect with your child. There are many ways to do that, but it requires stillness of mind. That's what we're talking about here. Okay. The other story that I wrote down, I think, Christy, that we did just share this in a clip. I do monthly webinars to share the latest teachings and evidence from spirit, and she goes back to the older ones and pulls out nuggets from there. And I just remember this one daughter that came through in a reading talking to her mom. And I said, she just showed me a rainbow. But no, this is because somebody is gay. It's her brother. And she said, oh my gosh, her brother just came out. And we were afraid that she didn't know it. And I said, well, she knows it, which was really cool. And I remember now, Christy, what happened before the reading even started. Oh my gosh, you guys are brilliant. I see the connection here because I was going to tell a story about Brenda, my friend Brenda, who's across the veil. Used to be before I do readings, I would tune into my friend Brenda and say, Brenda, tell me something going on with our mutual friend Lynette, who's still here. So I know my connection is good. And on this one certain day, Brenda showed me a rainbow and I tuned in and I just knew that's called claircognizance. She didn't have to say it. I just knew that our dear friend Lynette was talking to someone who is gay. Current event. So I reached out and texted Lynette and I said, I'm about to do a reading. I'm playing the game with Brenda, and she shows me you having a conversation with somebody who is gay. And Lynette said, oh my God, she's such a spy. I just finished a conversation with a friend who is outing herself. And we're talking about outing yourself when you're gay. That was the sign that came up before I did this reading. And the daughter comes through, shows me a rainbow in that reading, just just piggybacking on the game that was no accident that Brenda brought up. And it's because she wanted her brother to know, I know you've outed yourself. It's okay. And then the other cool thing in that reading, I remember she shouted at me, 23. And that was a message for her brother because she had passed that 23 years old and he had just turned 23 and he was afraid that he wouldn't make it to 23. And she was just celebrating that they both got to that age and he would pass well beyond, he would continue well beyond age 23. So just a little evidence there of how very close our loved ones are, how much they see. Let me just tune in here. Do I want to tell the Brenda story now? I'm going to save it till the end. Yeah. So Brenda was a friend. I don't know. Irene Elizabeth, nod your head as if you met her. Did you know Brenda? She was such a character. Christy, did you know her? You never met her? Oh my gosh. Well, Christy, you have a great connection. You reach out and ask her to visit you because she is unmistakable, a powerful communicator. She communicated with me within hours after her passing, and even while she was passing. But that's the story I'll save till later. But she also, like Wolf, left absolute proof that we continue on. So that's enough talking for now. Let me answer any questions you might have. Instead of asking Grace, you can ask me directly here tonight. And we'll answer questions for maybe 15, 20 minutes, then I'll tell you that story.
Question for Suzanne, please type it in the chat and we'll read it to her.
Oh, gosh.
So we have people writing. Let's see. Lori is saying, I've been told that you have to have protection. Is it true? And if so, how do I get it? For meditation, I mean. Also,
Oh,
How
wait,
do
hang
we?
on, Elizabeth. I have this thing when I'm connecting and holding the connection with my guides, I can only handle one question at
Okay,
a time.
one
So if it's
question.
a
Sorry,
double question, hang on to part two, and we'll get back to that.
I will.
Okay. Protection. What we need is protection from our thoughts. And we just talked earlier about how to do that by spending time noticing the thoughts. And the more you do, you realize you're a soul. And what is a soul? A ray of light of the one light. So the spiritual path is about coming to know I am this light. This would not have made a lot of sense to me early on in my journey. So part of your commitment to your path and to your child, your gift to them is read about, well, start with the awakened way. If you want to really get down to the nuts and bolts about what I'm talking about, this is not a book pitch. This is how I got to where I am. I know Irene, you read and read and read stuff when Carly passed, right?
Mhm.
Right? And that you found me on the internet. So if you're not into reading, watch the videos. How many do we have now, Christy? 600, I think, right? And my favorites are in are on my website and also in the Awaken Way app. But be a sponge so that you come to know I am this light. And the light dispels the darkness. So as far as protection, we simply turn up our lights and we set the intention that only the highest energy or beings are allowed in my field. And if we sense anything that frightens us, we ask Spirit to help us turn up our light and we let it flow through us. And that's the protection I use. I honestly do not sit and worry about it at all. I just turn up the light and I know that I'm more afraid of people in human form than spirits. Some people, but I don't carry fear. I don't walk around with it. I just trust spirit. Okay.
That's beautiful. And I don't know if Irene, would you like to ask the next question, or do you want me to go ahead and
Go right ahead, Elizabeth. It's okay.
okay, so the second part of her question is also how do we know who our guides are? So I guess that's something that takes a little bit of explaining, but maybe you could do a short answer for that.
Yeah, you don't come here alone. You've had a guide with you your whole life. On this path, I discovered guides kicking and screaming. Didn't want to believe they were real. I thought it was silly stuff. I thought it was woo-woo stuff until through sitting in stillness every day trying to connect with Susan, I could not deny. I started just getting thoughts that were helpful. Then learned about guides, and mine just proved themselves to me that they're here because I started asking them questions and I couldn't deny the answers that I was getting. So, what if you just open yourself to the belief that you have guides and you start conversing with them? Small sentences, but leave them room to answer. And they may not answer immediately as you're asking. The answer may come in ways you don't expect. You may be guided to a book. Oh my God, there's my answer. You maybe you have just the right person come into your life and say something, and you say, "Oh my gosh, that's my answer." Give a thanks to your guide for bringing that together. So they're not necessarily in human form, but they are beautiful lights themselves assigned to you. So you can ask them, "What should I call you?" They don't necessarily have names, but they'll give you a name that's meaningful. So we could do a whole day workshop about guides. I have a Hemi-Sync recording, Getting to Know Your Guides, and that's a really cool one.
So that sounds like a good one for her to read. There's so many questions on here now. Angela is saying, can you speak to free will versus accidents and exit points? That's
Mm,
again a very deep question.
it is. Let me get my guides to help a bit with this. What you would call accidents occur due to the free will choices of humans. Trust that you are on a main path, that your soul came here to allow you certain experiences that would allow you to shine your light ever brighter. That's why you're here, to just turn up the light and experience the fullness of life and choose love instead of fear. So along the way, picture a map and like, this is your soul's plan right here, this major highway. And your soul knows that there will be certain exit ramps, and you at the soul level may choose to take those. But because we're given free will, there may be a time when the human side of you that becomes very disconnected from your soul may choose to take a different ramp. If it's not an exit point, your guides will somehow find a way to get you back on the highway. If it's an exit point, they'll let that free will be completed. Okay? We'll just leave
Which
it.
also means that those people who actually do have exit points, like our children in spirit, are happy, healthy, and home. And
Absolutely.
we're in Earth School, and we have a lot to learn. So we're not supposed to leave until we're supposed to leave, but there is a lot to learn, and we're on a fast track now that we have a child in spirit.
Fabulous.
Um, so that's a great answer. Thank you. And let's see. Ellen is asking, how can you discern between the thoughts that you get that might be your own and the ones that you're getting and they're actually coming from your child?
You, as a parent, know in your heart this is coming from them. And it's those that they truly are doing their best to get through from you that just land with this feeling, I know this is from my child. And when there's no fear associated with it, no worry, and it's helpful and healing, trust that. I'm teaching a lot now about this energy center in the belly called the Hara. I didn't really work with it until a few months ago, but now that I am, it is a beautiful tool for moving your awareness out of the head where you worry and wonder and the energy is dissipated to getting centered, moving down past the heart into the belly, and now discerning from that place there. That's truth. I can trust this. That's a whole workshop in a nutshell right there. But you notice how we're using the body, we're becoming centered and breathing slowly, getting out of that fearful state or the doubting state, doubting, fear, not trusting. That's your human story, the faces. When you come to know that part of you that never changes, the peaceful state, the soul essence, and you test what you get there, then you know. That takes practice.
Beautiful. Wendy is saying, what emphasis or importance do the circumstances or the cause of a passing around a child's passing away hold?
They hold much importance within the story. To the soul, they make no difference. All souls are whole and complete, and across the veil, there's no comparing stories, there's no better or worse. It's just a new chapter in the ongoing soul's experiences. But all here, there's a comparison, and across the veil, all are met with love. You can just leave it at that.
Beautiful. And again, in helping parents heal, we believe that every single transition point is exactly the same. Every single exit point is exactly the same. Parents like to divide up into groups in helping parents heal because they like to be able to interact with people who are experiencing the same thing here on earth about the transition of their child. But over there, it doesn't matter one bit. So that's beautifully said.
I will tell you, though, that people who pass the same way do find each other across the veil, and they help them in my readings. And sometimes, I remember just a week ago, no, it was last month, I had the 4 people who had completed suicide in a row in my readings. That was not a coincidence. It's spirit just setting things up. I don't understand how that works exactly. I guess I need to ask because I'd like to know. But yeah.
I
They
think
find
it
it better.
helps the parents to know that those kids are coming together because it is something that's very important to us here for our story, what you were saying, but it's not important over there. And I agree, a lot of times these kids come together because of the fact that they have transitioned in the same way. So, anyway, so many questions, Suzanne. Cindy is saying, of all your mediumship classes you've created, do you have one you suggest to start with?
If you want to learn mediumship, we have making the connection level 1. If you simply want to connect with your own child or your guides, personal mediumship plus is excellent. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Jim is asking a question. Are there
Jim
any
Squirrel?
accidents? Yes.
Yes.
Or is everything planned during our soul plans?
This comes back to the free will. So we would call it an accident, and Spirit just called it an, a detour. Okay.
Yeah, and he might have written that before you actually, I should have read it before I read it. Anyway, out loud. Linda is saying, I'm having a difficult time discerning who is communicating with me. I know no, my daughter is one of my guides, but I can't at all be confident on who is with me. So this might have also been written before. We have so many that have been written. Would you like to expand on what you
I would love
said?
to expand on that because that was so important to me. Like, who is this at the beginning? I can tell Susan very easily because when she speaks to me, I hear her voice. When anybody else's loved one that I never met speaks to me, it sounds like my own thoughts. Wayne Dyer, I hear his voice. Uh, there aren't too many people who I hear in their actual voice. Brenda, I hear Brenda in her voice. Everybody else sounds like my own thoughts. So my guides, they don't have a separate voice, and I'm communicating daily with my guides, but Sanaya, my guides, is a collective consciousness. So it got to the point where they said to me, does it matter who's speaking to you? Is this helpful? Is it helping you grow? Are you getting the answers you seek? And I finally realized we're all just rays of the one light talking to itself. This is one of the deepest understandings we can come to. So we have to get out of that human separation mode, and the spiritual path is coming to know we're all one. It's like this right here, right? We got 4 separate fingers that you see here, right? Which finger is communicating? It's all one hand. What does it matter? It matters to our human self. But just as long as it's helpful and healing, and eventually somebody may identify themselves. Every once in a while, a member of Sanaya will tell me, "Oh, it's this member," or "Oh, that's Jesus. I cannot mistake that beautiful being," or "Oh, there's Susan." So you'll get a feel and a knowing with certain beings that you communicate with, but if you can't, let it go and say, "Thank you, Spirit, for helping me and showing up."
Well, I remember you talking about Odin when we were at Unity, having him come through, and obviously, maybe you didn't know right away, but you knew fairly quickly after that it was actually, that was an amazing story, by the way. Sorry, I don't mean to sidetrack, but Claire is asking, thank you for sharing all of your wisdom and the Sanaya videos. How long after having Susan transition did Sanaya come through? Are you aware or unaware of what is being said when Sanaya comes through?
Okay, I'll try to hold on to that second question.
Sorry.
It was
Sorry, yes.
August 1st, my birthday, 2010, because they were my birthday present when they showed up and identified themselves, or right around that time. And so that was 3 years, no, 4 years after Susan passed. But I had been communicating with guides to that point and getting poetry for a full year so that I knew I wasn't making this up anymore because I didn't write poetry. And to have verses in perfect rhyme and rhythm come through instantly, day after day after day, I knew. Ooh, I got the goosebumps. So they said we had to use some way to get through to you, doubting my doubting mind. And so Sanaya came through. Now, see, I can't remember the second question already.
Oh, that's okay. I don't either. Okay. Are you aware or unaware of what is being said when Sanaya comes through? So I'm not sure if I understand that question, but you might understand that question.
Yeah,
This is also from
and
Clara.
this is an interesting part of the spiritual journey. The more layers you peel back, you realize that you and your guides are one, and you and your child are one. We're all spirit and expression. So the more and more they speak through me now, it's just one voice. It's just us speaking, but it's from a higher perspective of this awareness. So that's a little deep right there. But I'm aware in a detached way. When the messages come through in the morning now, it's just us that the message is flowing through. There's no division. It used to be I'm taking dictation, and now there's a feeling like here comes the message and it just comes out, but I'm not doing it. The channeling has gone even deeper lately so that if you go to the monthly connections, there's channeling, and my whole team of assistants says they can tell a difference. It's just gone deeper, and I'm not so aware of what is coming out of my mouth other than the concept, because there's just a knowing. So I hope that I'm modeling for all of you that we all keep growing and we all can keep expanding and having new adventures in consciousness. And I credit Susan completely with this journey. It's amazing.
Well, and it's amazing to look at you and think of where you've come from and your very analytical mind accepting these things that are happening to you. And I'm sure that it gives all of us hope that we can also do this kind of channeling as well as just getting these messages from our children, which is the most important thing. Um, Kathy is saying, how do you let go of grief and trauma related to suicide so as to be able to raise your vibration enough to connect with your child?
It's like hitting rock bottom and you just say, I surrender, right? You feel it long enough. I remember learning from Irene the most beautiful point that I had missed, that she told me she was afraid of meditating because she was afraid that the grief would wash through her like it always did. So she was afraid of the stillness. She didn't want to feel that grief. And she finally just said, in perhaps not in those words, I surrender, I give up. I'm just going to sit here in the stillness. And here came the wave of grief. But because she had surrendered, I can see you, Irene. I love you so much. She said it just went poof and flowed away. And that's what all of our emotions and all of our thoughts and all of our experiences do. They flow through us. Same with fear. If you're willing to look at it, oh, look, there's fear arising instead of I'm afraid. Oh, here comes grief again instead of, oh my God, I'm so sad. You detach from it and observe it, and that's the soul doing it. And now you've experienced it and it didn't kill you. You can learn from it. So surrender and trust the flow. We can't control it. It's always going to be here. So we can observe it and say, wow, I really came here for all of this. All right, here we go.
That's beautiful. And trust that doubt is your friend and realize that whenever anything comes up that you're doubting, that the doubt is there to allow you to work through what you're fearing is not true and then be able to accept it as real. And so I think that that's another thing that is very hard for all of us to be able to accept is that these messages are actually coming through. And
Well, if I could then, Elizabeth, with just a few minutes to go, that's the perfect segue then to my Brenda story.
good. Yes,
And
yes.
I told you, Irina and Elizabeth, that I was going to share a story that I have told so many times, and I believe it's actually in the introduction to the Awakened Way. It's Brenda's Boa story because it's just I can never hear it too many times. I just love this story so much. That Brenda was like I said, a real force here in human form. And she had been studying mediumship with me for years. She was my number one stalker, self-proclaimed stalker, and I loved her dearly. And everybody knew she was going to try to come through to all of her friends who were studying mediumship. We were wondering how soon is she going to come through? I just never expected it to be within hours. So we were in our RV at the time. I think I was in Flagstaff, Arizona. I remember it. And she passed in Phoenix. I had wanted to be at her side, but I didn't make it in time. And all of a sudden, she just pops down on the couch beside me. I didn't see her, but I could sense her sitting right here. And when she started yakking away at me, it was her voice. And I remember saying, Ty, don't talk to me. Brenda is here. And he's used to that, right? He said, don't talk to me. Wayne Dyer's here. Whatever it is. Shh, let me listen. Now just carrying on a conversation. Here's Brenda, and she's saying, "Hey, I I just crossed. It was so easy. Everybody's saying, 'Look, she's gone.' And I'm saying, 'Gone where? I'm right here.'" She was such a character, and that personality, I could feel her. And she's going on and on saying, "It was so easy, Suzanne. And now I'm running around visiting everybody all at once." And oh my God, at her celebration of life, I sat there and she's yakking in my ear. Didn't know she was giving me the signs that everybody in our group had asked for. We got together after the celebration having dinner, and I said, "Well, she showed me a popsicle." And I remember Lisa Wilcoxon going, like this. And I said, "What?" She goes, "That's my sign." And I'm going off on a tangent here, but Lisa got lost or delayed on the way to the celebration of life. She walked in late, and I happened to notice that I wrote down that I saw this popsicle when such and such was happening on the screen at the celebration of life. That was the exact moment that Lisa walked in to the service. It was Brenda's way of saying, "And you are late to my celebration of life." I mean, the woman is the character. So, meanwhile, all these things she's sharing with me in her very first drop in, within hours of passing, I said to her silently, I said, "Brenda, there's no evidence in any of this. You're telling me how amazing it is across the veil. You're telling me how easy it was to cross. You're telling me how you were met by love. You're telling me that you're right here. You're telling me you're visiting everybody. I can't prove any of this to anybody. Now, you're a student of mine. You know you have to give me evidence. You have to give me something that I can share with our friends to validate this is you." And you could almost feel her disdain. So she goes, "Like my boa." I happen to have one now because it was such a transformative moment. So it was just like this. She went, "Like my boa," just like that. And I was typing all of this word for word on my iPad as she's talking and I'm talking to her, so I wouldn't miss any because I knew this was an epic visit. And so I wrote down, "Like my boa," and then I wrote my word, "What?" And because it made no sense. And she said, "Ask Lynette. She knows what this is." And I knew in that moment that our mutual friend Lynette, who was there with her when she took her last breath, would be able to explain the boa thing. So this was 9:30, 10 at night, and this was 2015 or 2018. Back then, I would not have bothered Lynette at 9:30 at night. Now I would have called her and said, "Brenda was just here." So I put all of this in an email to Lynette. And I sent it and I said, "I know this boa thing is important. You got to tell me what this is for evidence that Brenda is here." Well, I woke at 2 in the morning and I remembered the visit and I had to check my email. I don't normally do that in the middle of the night, and I wouldn't do it with Ty lying beside me, but we're in the RV. So I pick up my phone and I pull up my email, and there's a text, an email from Lynette, and the subject line, "O period M period G period." Oh my God, this is Brenda. She explained to me what the boa was all about. And the reason for this story is because it's going to show you who you are and who your kids are across the veil. This story and the brilliance of this story, irrefutable. So Lynette explained to me that during Brenda's long illness, Lynette moved in to be her caregiver. And talk and talk and talk about the spirit world and what lay ahead because Brenda knew she would still exist once she passed. And she would say to Lynette, tell me about Jaja. Tell me the Jaja story. And it was like story time, right? She'd heard the story a million times, but she loved to hear it. And Lynette would share again how Lynette was a little kid from Ponca City, Oklahoma. Never been outside Oklahoma, and her parents took her to New York City. And she was so excited. Maybe she would get to see the goddess to her, Zsa Zsa Gabor. So her parents take her to Broadway. They're walking down Broadway, and there's a theater that is with a show starring Zsa Zsa Gabor. Now they didn't have tickets, but she goes up to look at the billboard and her heart fell because here's a picture of Zsa Zsa in this play, and she's not dressed like Zsa Zsa. She's playing some farm girl, and she's dressed frumpy, and she doesn't look like Zsa Zsa at all. And she's just crestfallen, thinking, this is not my idea of a movie star. And I kid you not, in the story that she told and in real life, the stage door opens and out steps Zsa Zsa Gabor in her boa, not looking like a farm girl. Lynette was, 7 years old, remembers it to this day. It was such a moment. And Lynette was absolutely convinced of the afterlife. And at the time, Brenda needed convincing. And the reason she liked to hear this story is because Lynette would say, I know that we are all actors on a stage, and we're all wearing costumes, whether we're a farm girl, whether we're a fireman, whether we're an executive, whatever we are. Whatever role we're taking on, a grieving parent, whatever it is, when we cross through that veil, we shed the costume, we shed the role, and we step back into our magnificence, boa and all. That was the story they shared over and over before she passed, but I never heard it. I didn't know that. So here is Brenda Bowman Baker, hours after she crossed the veil. Everybody's grieving her. And she's sitting beside me saying, what's the big deal? I'm right here. And I need evidence. This Navy commander says, prove it. She doesn't want to waste time going down a list of evidence. So in 3 little words, she gives me the most phenomenal evidence with the most meaningful message for all of you this Christmas. Like my boa means I shed that sick, cancer-ridden body, Suzanne. I shed that role of a gay, overweight woman who hated herself but found her soul while she was here. And that's why I'm talking to you now. Because I shed the role and stepped back into my magnificence. She did it before she passed. She learned to love herself. She went down the spiritual path. But then when she crossed the veil, fully awakened and able to talk with me immediately. What a brilliant message for all of us. We are souls now wearing costumes. It does not diminish the pain, but it shows you there are 2 sides to you, and your child and you are beautiful souls who are always and already connected. The connection is good. You just have to learn to surrender, identifying with the role as the only part of you. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Oh, beautiful. We have people saying that story gave me chills. Thank you, Suzanne. It is truly beautiful. And Brenda is someone that is such a huge force in helping parents heal. She was part of our first conference, and I feel very grateful that there are pictures of her, thanks to Rick Wilcoxon. Yes, exactly. In that beautiful video. So if anyone wants to see Brenda, she's surrounded by all of her friends, including Suzanne and Lisa and all of these other people who were so close to her, Lynette, in helping parents heal. But this has been such a wonderful hour. Irene, did you want to say something? I've been
Just thank you, Suzanne. Love you. What
I
a
love
great
you guys.
hour. Yes.
And Christy, did you want to say anything? You're welcome to if you want to.
I appreciate you coming, Suzanne. It's always so wonderful to hear you share your stories with us.
It's an
And
honor. Thank you, Spirit.
thank you so much for being here, especially when you've just moved and you have so much to do. But this has been a wonderful evening. And again, it'll be available on YouTube. And I hope that everyone has a peaceful weekend. We have Reverend Sue Frederick, who's going to be speaking on Monday. I have a feeling that she's probably going to be saying something about all of your interaction and the wonderful interviews that both of you gave to each other or did for each other. So, and if you haven't seen those interviews, you definitely should take a look at the interviews between Reverend Sue Frederick and Suzanne Giesemann. And thank you so much again. We always ask everyone to unmute and say thank you and good evening as well. So if you'd like to unmute, then please do so.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Suzanne.
Thank you,
Merry Christmas.
Suzanne.
Thank you,
Thank you
Suzanne.
so much
Thank you,
for
thank you.
everything.
Suzanne,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
To
Thank
bless
you
you.
so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank
Bye.
you,
Wonderful.
Elizabeth.
Merry
Thank
Christmas.
you.
Happy
Thank you.
holidays.
Appreciate
Wonderfully.
you.
Merry
Nice.
Christmas.
Thank
Thank
you
you so
again.
much. Happy holidays.
Love you.
Thanks, Suzanne.